What's going on, everyone? Today I'm going to show you a common problem that will prevent your Honda lawnmower from starting. This problem really only applies to units equipped with the auto choke, so go ahead and check your unit. If it doesn't have auto choke, this repair will not pertain to you. This particular model is an HRR2169 VKA with the Honda GCV160 engine. So let's go ahead and diagnose this problem, and then I'll show you how to go through with the repair. Now the first step is to remove the air filter cover. This is held in with two small clips at the top of it. Next, we need to remove the air filter so we can see the carburetor behind. Now if we zoom in closely, you can see the butterfly valve on the carburetor. This is the choke. As you can see, the choke is currently closed. This is normal for any cold engine. So in this case, the auto choke is not the problem on this mower. Now let's take a look at a different example. If your choke looks like this, open when your engine is cold, then you definitely have a problem with your auto choke, most likely a sticking thermowax. The purpose of the choke is to close when the engine is cold to allow more gas into the engine for easier starting. If the choke never closes, it will be hard or impossible to start your lawnmower. Now I'm going to show you how you can replace the thermowax yourself without going to a mower repair shop. First, you need to get a 10mm socket and remove the two bolts holding the airbox and carburetor to the engine. These bolts may be tight if they've never been removed before, so just be careful with them. There you can see the bolts are pretty long. They hold the airbox, the carburetor, and the auto choke assembly to the engine itself. So once you take out the last bolt, everything's going to fall, but that's okay. I'll show you the order that it goes back together in. Now it's a good idea to turn off the gas shutoff valve. If you don't have one on your lawnmower, you can always use hose clamps to block off the line. Now here you can see the carburetor behind the airbox. Once again, everything is going to fall out because the two bolts really hold everything together. Now there's the auto choke assembly. You can see there's a gasket stuck to it. Right there is the piston. This is what the thermowax actually pushes to move the lever, and that lever actually moves the choke on the carburetor. Now you can see the thermowax itself. This has a small piston that moves in and out whether or not the engine is cold or hot. Now most likely it is stuck in the outward position, keeping the choke open while the engine is cold. So for the next step, we need to remove this thermowax and replace it with a new one. Now at first I tried to grab a hold of it and pull it out with needle nose pliers, but I couldn't get good enough of a grip on it. So my last idea was to go ahead and remove the piston from the thermowax and thread in a screw. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the screw to bite into the housing of the thermowax, but my plan D, I was able to pry it out a little bit with a flathead screwdriver and then grab a hold of it just enough with a pair of pliers to pull it out from the engine. And there we go, we can see the old thermowax there. And here's the new part. It's a genuine Honda part, so if you want to pause it, you can go ahead and look up the part number. I think I got this part from Amazon. I think it was around $11 or $12, but you should be able to get it from most suppliers or eBay. Alright, so the next step is to just put the new thermowax in the hole on the engine, and this is just pressure fit, so it just pushes right in. Alright, so now we're ready to start assembling the airbox and carburetor back onto the engine. So here you can see I already put those two long bolts back into the airbox, and I also put the gasket on. You can see in the top right hand corner is that small hole on the gasket. Make sure you put it back exactly how I have it. Now we're going to go ahead and slip the carburetor over the two bolts. Make sure your gasket is still on there that we just installed. Now we can go ahead and attach the air hose from the engine to the airbox. And here you can see the auto choke assembly. We're going to put that on last. Make sure the gasket is on both sides. There should be one on both sides of that assembly. Mine just were stuck on there, so I never took them off. And lastly, we can fit everything onto the engine and start to thread in our bolts. Now we want to make sure everything's aligned before we go ahead and torque these bolts down. Again, just grab your 10mm socket, and these don't need to be super tight. It does hold everything together, but you don't need to crank them down. This is plastic, so just use your best judgment when you're tightening everything back down. Here you can see I'm kind of going back and forth just to get it seated, and then I'll snug both of them down at the end. You can see the choke is closed now. I'm opening it with my screwdriver, but it's still springing back closed. This means the repair was a success. Alright, so before we go ahead and fire it up, we just need to turn on the gas shutoff valve. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and fire it up, and you see the butterfly valve moves back and forth just a little bit, but then it goes ahead and opens, just like it should. And once the engine warms up, after about a couple minutes of operation, the choke will stay open for a while. Alright, so I let the engine warm up for a couple minutes and turned it off. Now you can see the choke is wide open. This is because the thermowax is warm and pushed out. So I would let this cool down for an hour, maybe a couple hours, come back, and if the choke closes, you're good to go. The repair was a success, and you should be able to start your lawnmower no problem. Thanks for watching my video. Hopefully you were able to get your lawnmower working again or gain some useful information. If you did, feel free to leave a comment down below, like the video, or even consider subscribing.